This is James Lupton for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined with David Coldwell. Dave, how you doing?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. How's yourself?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good for asking. Thank you for asking, even. Let's look at 2021. Obviously, yourself, you've got to build a nice little stable. New recruit, Lorraine Richards. You've got Hybrid Price, Jordan Gill in the gym. How are you dealing with this? Obviously, again, another lockdown. How are you guys coping and ticking over in the gym?
Training is going fantastic. Jordan and Hopi, we was looking at end of January, Hopi February. So we trained all the way through Christmas, trained through New Year's. Jordan spent New Year's Eve on his own up here instead of with his wife because we thought we were going to be fighting. There was chance of us fighting end of January. Obviously, that got called off. So this is, with the no boxing in January. So a bit downhearted, but we're back in the gym and working hard. So yeah, it's great work going on in the gym right now.
Have you heard anything about any return date for British boxing? I know Robert Smith done an interview today with another outlet saying mid-February. Eddie sort of hinted at potentially taking fights abroad. Any sort of idea for yourself and your fighters? Do you know when they could potentially be back?
I'm hoping for February for Hopi and Jordan, to be honest. Like I said, we're ready. They're ready. Jordan's ready for a 12 rounder at 9 stone. So we're just waiting on that call and that confirmation. Really, there's a lot of things up in the air. There's a lot of things that obviously we're waiting on the board. Failing the board, then Eddie's talking about doing things abroad. So we're waiting on that. We just need, once everybody else has took care of their issues and to make things go forward, we're there, we're ready. So we'll just play it by ear. I'm fortunate that the guys in the gym, Laron's back in the gym now. He's had some time off with his family because he spent such a long stretch in the gym away from his family. His newborn, he missed 10 weeks for a newborn boy's life training for a fight that that eventually didn't happen, and we just carried on. We got the matchroom debut. So he's had a bit of time off, and now he's back. They've got great mentalities. We'll just work and we'll just continue to train and continue to make sure that we're ready when the phone does go and the good news happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not just those three. Obviously, you've got your management side. You're only a little bit promoting as well. Obviously, Small Hall doesn't seem to be coming back anytime soon. But in terms of your management side of things, recent signing Sam Antwi as well. How's that going? How do you deal with juggling the three?
Fine. I mean, I'm not promoting. I'm going to keep the promoter's license in case it's ever needed, but I've got no intention of promoting. But yeah, the management stable, I'm looking at, I'm signing up fighters, quite regularly and looking to expand that again. Samuel Antwi is a very good fighter, very exciting fighter, talented. Just being on with his coach on the phone now. He's training away. He's going to be ready. And see where the opportunities come. Lee Wood, he's unfortunately, again, everything's up in the air for the date, but he's just waiting on a date confirmation for his fight with Reece Mould for the British title. Amy Timlin, again, that's up in the air with the rematch with Carly Skelly for the Commonwealth title. So everybody's in the same boat. We're all waiting. It's not just myself as a manager. Other managers talking to Steffi and other people. They're all in the same boat with their fighters. It's a difficult time for boxers right now. I mean, as a rule, they're quite impatient as it is because everyone wants to get to the top. Everyone wants to be active, but they're gonna have to show even more patience right now because we can't make any decisions until a promoter knows what he can do, and he can only make them decisions on what he can do when he finds out off of Boris. So everybody's kind of like waiting and just getting into the mix and standing in a queue. Absolutely.
As we mentioned, you've done the promoting, you're managing, you're coaching. Obviously, you were a fighter as well. What was your proudest moment in your career?
The whole career, everything. It'd have to be Goodison Park. That was just the whole relationship with Tony, the setbacks as such, and in how people didn't believe what we're going to do. I remember after the Cleverly fight, even Eddie was like, wasn't interested, and it was a mass neck fight that kind of like where people then started taking him a little bit for real. But then obviously Goodison Park was just fantastic, amazing. And then you look at what Makabu's gone on to do, it's a brilliant win. So yeah, that's my proudest moment. But I've had quite a few, Jim McDonnell against Kameda going over the second time when everyone expects him to get blasted. And he went over and beat him easier than the first time. Curtis Woodhouse winning the English first and then the British title. They were massive, So, and also what I would say as well was a quick period of time when I had Ryan Rhodes win the British and then Kell Brook won the British, but then Ryan went on to win the European against Jay Moore. That was another big one. So I've had some good nights, but recently I would say Jordan Gill winning the Commonwealth meant a lot to me because I'm very close with Jordan. I'm very close with his family. So when he won that Commonwealth title, that was a brilliant night. It really was.
Absolutely, it's obviously almost too many to choose from. But I'll put you on the spot there. Something I always ask people who have been a fighter and turned trainer: what do you prefer? Do you prefer the buzz of a win as a fighter, or as a trainer?
Well, I didn't have many buzzers as a winner as a fighter. So I've had far better nights as a coach. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a fight I won, but the fight that I boxed in Spain, the guy won the world title his next fight. Dropped him twice. It was packed out, main event out there. We had national anthems when you're coming out of the tunnel, the smoke and things like that. National anthems and flags, stuff like that. That was nice. That was a good memory that I've got of my career. I did 12 rounds over there. That's quite an achievement in itself for someone like myself who struggled with confidence and issues as a youngster. That was quite a highlight of my career. Beating Terence Gaskin on the Sky Show as well. That was a good one in defence of me, Eric Tile. But none of that really compares to the buzz and the adrenaline that I get of the big wins that I've had as a coach, and just the sense of achievement, because it's not my career as such. I've got another fighter's career in my hands. Do you know what I mean? And when they have that success, I know what it means to them. I know the work that they put into it. I know what it means for the families. So when they have the success, it's brilliant. It really is. And and also what I will say is the fans, when I'm walking out, in a tunnel with Bellew in a big fight, when we had those nights, just the crowd, the atmosphere, it's brilliant. That is a buzz. That is a buzz. So, yeah, by far eclipses what I experienced as a fighter.
Turn our attentions back to recent fights. So last weekend, Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia. Impressive from Ryan Garcia. Do you feel, obviously he got dropped in the seconds and he showed true grit and heart to get back up. Do you feel Campbell made the right decision by sticking to the game plan? Or as a trainer, would you prefer him to go for the kill?
Do you know what? It's so easy to say after the event, oh, he should have gone for broke. He should have gone for it. But just take your mind back a little bit. And when Anthony Joshua boxed Ruiz in the first fight, and he drops Ruiz, and he just rushes in to finish him, and what happened? If then people then are saying, oh, he went in recklessly. He should have been a bit smarter in what he was doing. Everybody can make the judgment. But if he'd have got rid of Ruiz, these conversations wouldn't have happened. So when Luke drops Garcia, for me, I would have liked him to have turned the screw a bit smart. gone for it, but be smart, be aware of what's coming back, not just go hell for leather. Still be smart. And I think he's got the intelligence to do that as well. But when you're there, when you're looking into your opponent's eyes, sometimes you might see it different, to what we see it watching on TV. He may have looked at Garcia and thought, "You're not gone." And Garcia is a lightning fast, destructive puncher who has scored knockouts with counter punches. So when you're in with something like that, by you rushing it, and if he's got his wits about him, you could walk onto a counter, because that was what he would be looking at. So it's easy for us to say with hindsight, maybe if Luke could have got him again later on and stopped him, then everyone has said, "Oh, you did well not to rush in and empty your tank or walk onto a shot," but he didn't. He got beat. And then, so because his chance went, then you've always got that thinking, I should have, or he should have. So it's very difficult. It's easy for us to say on the outside. I would have liked him to have gone for it, but be aware of what's coming back.
Absolutely. There's a lot of talk now, Ryan Garcia, what his next move will be. They're talking about Gervonta Davis. Obviously, Devin Haney's in the mix, but also Teofimo Lopez. Out of those four, how would you rank them?
What I will say, everybody I speak to, they're just mentioning four. It's like Lomachenko's lost a fight and everybody just writes him off now. He doesn't exist, or his achievements weren't all that anyway. Come on, just because you lose one fight, it doesn't mean that you're shit. Yes, he lost early his career, but he revenged it. But he went on to eclipse that fight. So it's kind of like, we forget about that. But the ability, the technique, the achievements of Lomachenko, all of a sudden now, by people just mentioning these four names, are you telling me that he doesn't belong in the same conversation as Devin Haney, as Ryan Garcia, as Davis, and Lopez, And so I find that kind of strange. Everybody's just talking about these four that are there now. So I talk about the five, and I would put, because Lopez beat Lomachenko, so for me, you have to put him as number one, because Lomachenko is a great fighter, and he was pound for pound the man. So Lopez, you've got to say, is number one out of those, because he's proven, he's done it. Gervonta Davis at super featherweight has been the man. He's had one fight at lightweight, so there's a few question marks there. But I believe Gervonta Davis beats Ryan Garcia right now. I think Garcia's still improving. I think he'll have learned a hell of a lot from the Campbell fight, which is going to make him even better fighter. I rate him. I think he's developing so well in that camp with the Renato camps and working alongside Canelo. So I think in a matter of time, he's going to keep improving. But right now, I would like to see him and Haney fight. I would like to see that fight. That's the one that I want to see. And because even though Haney's a world champion, I still see Haney as a prospect, because he's kind of unproven. He hasn't had the breakout fight. Lopez was a prospect. He fought Lomachenko, proved himself. Ryan Garcia, young prospect, fights a world class fighter in Luke Campbell, proved himself. I don't see a name on Haney's record yet that I would say compares to a Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. So that's the fight I would like to see. I don't know who wins it. I rate Devin Haney. I've seen him up close. I've seen him spar, and I think he's brilliant. And when I saw him spar, I thought he's for real. So I kind of lean towards Haney a little bit, but Garcia's got that power and that speed. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see Tank versus Lomachenko. I'd like to see Lomachenko have a rematch with Lopez and see how that goes, because when Lomachenko started finally to do something after about 8 rounds, then you saw him have success. So I would like to see, can he take from that loss and improve and come back and change things up. But I look at Lopez and I see superstar written all over him. So I want to see the whole mix of the fights. You know, that's the most exciting division that there is in boxing, and I want to see a mix of them all. You know, not just one or two, and not just the 4, 5.
Absolutely. Do you know, I've done the same thing in an interview this morning, and then came on to Lomachenko, because, like you say, people have almost written him off. They have discarded him. Do you feel Lomachenko can come in and can beat all of them?
Yes, he can. He can. But also, what you got Lomachenko is he's getting older and he's got wear and tear. 400 amateur fights, you know, naturally fighting guys that are naturally bigger than quite regular. There's all wear and tear, training camps, things like that. And so I thought he looked older, not old, but he looked older when he fought Luke Campbell. But also you've got to say, well, Luke is a very, very tall, rangy southpaw, and he's very, very good himself. So a little bit of both, really. And then obviously Lopez did what he did with him. So I don't know. If you look at his last 2 fights, then maybe you could say that, okay, maybe his peak's gone, and you know, maybe now's the time. But it's Lomachenko, and he's a great, great fighter, and he is still a genius. So could he beat them all? Yes, he could beat them all. And that's what's so great about that division, is because there's such a mix. You know, there's going to be wins and losses. All I pray for is that the fights happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we end the call, I just want to ask yourself about, everyone wants to see Fury AJ, everyone wants to see Crawford Spence. Aside from those 2, what fights would you like to see this year?
Well, I've mentioned it already, but I would love to see Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko. I just think that's fascinating. I think that's a real fight, you know, and that's a fight that myself and Jordan Gill have been talking about in the gym for about a year, 10 months, a year. You know, it's a fascinating fight. Yeah, there's that one. I would love to see Bivol and Bertabiev square off. I think that's a brilliant fight. You know, light heavyweight, that's a great fight. More on the domestic front, we've got a little quadruple mix, triangle quadruple of Anthony Yard, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Johnson, and now Lyndon Arthur's put himself in the mix with a win over Yard. I would like to see those 4 fight each other. Let's see them. You know, let's see who's the best last man standing out of those 4. So yeah, there's you know, there's on the domestic scene, there's those. But Beterbiev and Bivol, Crawford Spence, as you've mentioned, they're the fights that I would love to see.
Absolutely. And very finally, obviously, I hope you're pricing your camp. For myself, he's one of the best up-and-coming prospects in the country.
Yeah.
Who's your one to watch in 2021?
Do you know what? He's the one for me. He's the one. I think he's special. I think he's very, very good. It's very rare that I really go overboard about my own fighters. I don't like to do that, but this kid's got the mentality, the attitude, everything, and he's just developing in the gym so greatly. Him and Jordan Gill, for me, are the 2 best fighters I've ever worked with when it comes to talent and switched on, understanding what I need them to. They are immaculate, really are. I mean, the best thing that ever happened to Jordan was getting beat, and then, funny enough, his illness. Because his illness, we thought was going to, you know, we didn't think he was going to box again. He had a serious illness that I thought that was it. I was devastated for him. But it's unlocked something in his mind that's just allowed him to the belief, the confidence, and to take the pressure off himself, which is what I felt was a big issue with him. He always put a lot of pressure on himself. That seems to have gone, and he's just brilliant. He's a completely different fighter to the Tinoco fight, to even the Bellotti fight when he beat Bellotti. Completely different fight to that. He's just improving rapidly. Him and Opie Price are just, I'm so happy with how they're developing. And Opie, at 20 years old, I think he's a superstar. I think he's going to be a superstar. He's got the personality. He's you know, like I said, he's got, for me, I always said that the best the best mentality I'd ever come across in boxing was George Groves. This kid reminds me of George Groves in his mentality. He's just so unshakable, so cool. No matter what comes, what stumbling blocks, what setbacks, like, all right, no problem. In his learning spars, sparring with people like Kid Galahad, where to start off with, when he was sparring with him, he was like man versus boy, and he was getting ragged about. Galahad's a bully, and just let you know, deal with it. Cool, gets on with it, and he adapts, and he's not afraid to then go back in and say, okay, this is going to be hard. This is what I need to do in order to become the fighter that I want to be, and that's how he's always been, and he's getting the rewards for it because he's brilliant and he's just developing so great. So I just want him to fight. I need Jordan to get a fight. I mean, a big fight, and I need Hopi just to get busy and just to be able to fight, because the only thing that will hold Hopi back is experience in the ring, fight wise, just the rounds. But he's a good kid, a very good kid. Away from him, I love Dennis McCann. I like what he's doing. I think he's a great little fighter. I like his attitude. He's exciting. He's very skillful. The win over Brett Fido, the stoppage over Brett Fido, that was a great win, because Brett Fido is a really, really good fighter. And I forget his record, but Brett don't get stopped by anybody, and he teaches the kids that he's in with a lot. But then his last win, when he got hit quite a lot, it was a real fight. It was a tough fight, but he showed what it was about there, and that again is a great learning fight for him. So Dennis McCann, I really rate highly. Again, on the domestic scene, I think one to look out for this is Joe Cordina. I think Joe Cordina is just under that radar. I think he's a great talent, a very, very good fighter, very, very talented fighter. And yeah, he's just on the radar. Nobody mentions him. Nobody talks about him, but he's definitely got world champion potential.
Absolutely. Dave Coldwell, I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you for speaking to Pro Boxing fans.
Thanks, mate.
All the best for coming.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me. Nice one, mate. Take care.